French pharmaceutical giant Sanofi Pasteur on Monday says it refused the Philippines' demand to get a full refund of the Dengvaxia vials it purchased. Sanofi Asia Pacific Chief Thomas Triumph, during the House probe into alleged anomalies in the procurement of Dengvaxia, says they don't want to create confusion over the safety and effectiveness of the now controversial dengue vaccine. The Philippines spent more than 3 billion pesos for the anti-dengue vaccination program. Of that amount, Sanofi earlier returned over 1.4 billion pesos for unused vials. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III earlier demanded that Sanofi give a full refund because the claimed protection of Dengvaxia wasn't felt and wasn't there. Triumph stands by Sanofi's earlier statement that Dengvaxia made sure that there are less dengue cases than not using Dengvaxia. But Malacanang warns Sanofi not to be overconfident. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque cites an expected complaint from the administration-allied Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption that claims an election offense was committed in the approval of the government's Dengvaxia program, and the accusation that Sanofi did not fully disclose side effects of the vaccine. Roque says, quote, "They can be made to answer for many more things. If it is proven that they didn't disclose the side effects, they could be made to pay a large sum as compensation, even more than a full reimbursement." Philippine National Police Chief Ronald Dela Rosa slams the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines for criticizing cops who brought Bibles and rosaries in the return to Oplan Tokhang. Dela Rosa says the CBCP's comment doesn't just undermine the PNP's campaign, but even the Catholic faith in the country.
You don't have the monopoly of the Roman Catholic religion. Hindi porke kayo ang mga obispo, kayo mga pare, kayo lang may karapatan maghawak ng Biblia at magsuot ng rosaryo. Kaming ordinaryong mga Katoliko, porke pulis lang kami, hindi kami karapat-dapat. Wow! Kayo lang banal? Kayo lang ang banal, porke kayo pare, kami mga makasalanan na. Instead na palakasin natin ating relihiyon, you are trying to alienate us from you. Sino masisisi ngayon? Bakit maraming umalis sa Roman Catholic religion? Dahil ginagawa niyo.
Dela Rosa considers himself a devout Catholic. The PNP chief's rebuttal comes a week after the PNP relaunches its controversial Oplan Tokhang. The PNP revamped the campaign after mounting criticism pointing to police abuse and human rights violations in what's just supposed to be a simple knock and plead visit. Malacanang on Monday says it is helpless in the face of China's continued construction on Panganiban Reef or Mischief Reef. Mischief Reef belongs to the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque is asked what the Philippine government intends to do about the new structures built on Mischief Reef. Roque says, quote, "If the Aquino administration was not able to do anything about these artificial islands, what do they want us to do?" In a Philippine Daily Inquirer report, photos show the reclaimed reef now has a concrete runway, 2 domes for radar equipment, 2 hangars, and a control tower. Asked if the Philippines intends to file a diplomatic protest against China, Roque is evasive. Roque insists the only red flag for Malacanang is if China creates more artificial islands in the West Philippine Sea. This despite Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana saying last month that a military buildup on existing artificial islands is a violation of China's promise. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque clarifies President Rodrigo Duterte's controversial remarks that he wants indigenous peoples in Mindanao to relocate from their ancestral domain and would invite investors to use their land. Roque says Duterte would first consult with the Lumad or IPs of Mindanao about the plan and that they are free to refuse it. He is referring to the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, which recognizes IPs' rights to their ancestral land. Any use by outsiders of their land, say for mining or for agricultural ventures, must be approved by the IPs. Roque says Duterte is aware of this law. He says, quote, When the president has a suggestion, it means it will take place within the context of the law. Duterte last week said ancestral lands of IPs could be put to use if investors were to be allowed to use them. He told LUMAD leaders that he could look for possible investors. He also said IPs are often conscripted to help the communist New People's Army. The president urged LUMAD communities to disassociate from communists. The Philadelphia Eagles upset the New England Patriots 41-33 to win their first ever Super Bowl Sunday. The Eagles' backup quarterback Nick Foles' 3 touchdowns and nearly 400 yards helped Philadelphia into a 38-33 lead with just over 2 minutes left. But the stage is set for Patriots quarterback Tom Brady to mount one of his signature comeback drives as the clock ticks down and the Patriots take possession. But superb pressure from Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham forces Brady to fumble, turning the ball over to Philadelphia deep in New England territory. Philadelphia's Jake Elliott then kicks a 46-yard field goal to take an 8-point lead at 41-33. Brady's desperate Hail Mary fails to find a receiver as the clock runs out. Foles, who had only come into the Eagles starting lineup in December after a season-ending injury to star quarterback Carson Wentz, is named Super Bowl Most Valuable Player.